Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the next Wasteless World Talks with Bill, Kevin, and Mark and myself. We will write on the back of a language towards Wasteless World. And today, we will do with a word which is very short. It's exactly the same written in English and in Czech, but the strange thing is that in English there are 4 letters, and in Czech there are 3 letters. So if we will have time, I will explain. The term is echo, which is written E-C-H-O. And I will start today with Kevin. Kevin, when you heard 1 minute ago the term, what came first to your mind?
Well, like last week's Greek metamorphosis, I thought of the Greek because I think, and this is right on the edge of my poor memory, that Echo was a Greek goddess, or if not a goddess, a deity of some kind. And she was cursed or doomed to repeat everything she heard. And so an echo is a torment.
That's interesting. I will go for Mark. Mark, what is in your mind when you hear the term?
Well, when Kevin said the torment, suddenly it's become very vivid in my head. It really has. So when I think of echo, I tend to think of echo chambers, of being in, and from echo chambers of hearing back that which is being said, and which then takes me into bubbles of internet bubbles of common thinking. But so those are initial ones.
What about you, Bill? Same term?
Echo, the first thing is such complete silence, quiet, which leads me to the thought of being on a mountaintop where it is so quiet and still, and you can hear your echo, and it's only you and your echo there.
This is interesting. Let me explain the other sentence I said before about the 4 and 3 letters. In Czech alphabet, we have a very special letter, which is, I think, only in Slovak alphabet, because we have been Czechoslovakia. It is a letter CH. This is one letter. We call it H. It's hard to pronounce for many foreigners. So we call it echo. This is just for explanation. It is very interesting because you came with 4 different explanations, and only one was same as in the noon discussion, and this was the goddess, generally, which was mentioned by Kevin. And I think it was Dr. Edge who said the goddess was she cannot say the whole sentence, but only the last letters or something like that. That was even worse than you said before. Not sure about. What is interesting, if you call somewhere in a tunnel or so, if you call human, you get the same response as when you call woman or man. There will be no difference. Do you know why? Yes, Bill.
Oh, I wonder why that is. I'm not an expert in sound and acoustics, but I wonder why that is.
Not sure. I tried. And what is interesting, I'm asking myself why there are no standard. There are no buildings built to have the echo like the old churches and whatever. So the big building where really they work with the sound. And today it looks like they work with silence to keep us away. So, Mark, I see your deep thoughts.
Well, honestly, you're a very perceptive individual today, Michael. The 2 things. So the first one is, I was struck by Bill's comment on silence. And it's funny because If I think of echoes in mountains, I tend to think of rolling thunder. And when I hear a storm, hearing the echoes of the thunder off the mountains, it's just incredible. That noise just keeps going. And it's interesting that silence or remarkable noise that one hears. It goes both ways. The other thing is that like you, I'm not an audio engineer, but I find it interesting that sirens for emergency vehicles are actually designed to have the maximum impact off in bouncing the echo off the buildings that they are operating within. And that was, I remember hearing many years ago, this was why the sirens used in different countries partly reflects the architecture in those countries. Okay, so it sounded marvelous, and the and it's not just a Doppler effect of the sound after something has passed, but if you have emergency vehicles in cities with large surface areas, then you'll have a certain type of siren to ensure that everyone can hear it.
Never heard about it. It's quite interesting. Yes, Kevin?
I was going to say, of course, siren is also a Greek goddess. Or the sirens, they were Greek deities of some kind.
Yeah.
You're really into your Greeks today, aren't you, Kevin?
Yeah. Somewhere I got the who's who of Greek mythology. I wish I could find it.
When you talked about the architecture, reminded me that several of the large congressional or governmental buildings in the big open areas where they can put many people to talk, or in a couple of them they have been designed so that what is said over here in this corner resonates and can be heard over in the far corner, so that if you are having a caucus and trying to figure out what to say next to change the deal, the people over there are listening to every word you're saying.
I think it is even in the White Houses should be such a spot. I think it was in some movies. When I
I
was
think so.
when I was working on a castle which was built 1113, there was such a spot. 1113, hard to believe.
Well, St. Paul's Cathedral in London has the Whispering Gallery, which is within the dome. And I've done it. You can sit on either side of the dome and someone can talk to the wall and you can hear it on the opposite side, which is a significant distance.
I just
Actually,
wonder why they made it. Yes, Kevin, sorry.
it reminds me, the first time I went to it was the Museum of Modern Art in New York, and you would hear someone scream. You think, that's odd. And then you would hear someone else scream. And there is apparently some part of the building where there's a large open space, and that's where you get the best echo in the building. So as soon as you get a group of school kids going in there, they scream to hear their own echoes.
That's it's funny also, isn't it? The sense of the echo that when you do, you know, whether you're yodeling, singing, or just speaking, getting that echo back coming off the surface. Isn't it interesting that that is with sound in the way that light works with a mirror?
Interesting comparison.
Mm-hmm.
On the other hand, if you speak on the phone and you have the echo on the other side, you cannot generally. It's hard to speak. You
Right.
listen to yourself, and it should be a technical issue. Too loud is the microphone, or I don't know what is the reason, but it's quite interesting that if you get all what you said back, you can hardly speak.
Actually,
No.
it's interesting you think. It was only, what, 100 years ago that for the first time you could hear your own voice, because the way we hear our own voice isn't the way that everybody else hears it.
Yeah.
And I think, imagine, generation after generation, they never knew how they sounded, but we do.
So far this morning, we've been talking about uh, what the echo is, but there's several other areas. For example, to echo, you're echoing back what I already told you. It could be a rebuke that you're not being um, creative or imaginative in what you're saying. Um, to echo, is that is a verb? It's a noun. Um, what's the opposite? The I'm trying to think where else this one goes, because it's such a beautiful word.
What I am fascinating with is that I think we have only one or two machines, or few machines, let's call it few machines, which use echo for visualization under the sea or whatever, like a radar, so echolot. But in nature, there are so many creatures which use exactly the same
Yeah,
to
yeah.
really communicate on full level, to not to hit into something, orient themselves, but we have just few and very complicated machines, as I have heard. Why is
Oh,
so?
yes. So, excuse me going off on a slight tangent here, which of course is inappropriate for an echo. But if I look at that sound and light, I've always been fascinated by the expression in Finnish culture of "I looked in the mirror." And if ever I hear a Finn start a sentence with "I looked in the mirror," I can be pretty certain that whatever is about to be said is something which is very honest, an honest appraisal of a weakness or an error or a mistake that has been made. And it is not so much a confession, but an acknowledgement that such a thing has happened. But it's interesting, in certain translation to "I looked in the mirror," I don't know of such an expression for sound, because when we talk about echo or echo chamber, it seems to mean that collectively agreeing with something. As Bill said, you're echoing what I said. It's repeating along the same lines rather than an individual echoing back and reflecting on themselves. So sorry, totally tangential there.
No, it's a great. I just wonder whether the people who watch again the short videos on TikTok or similar, whether they are trying somehow to echo it. The son of Jane, he has the HDD. It's not HD. HDD is he is
ADHD.
yeah, and he has just ADD, which is he is slightly slower, but he's great in his mind. He's really great a guy, but he think a little longer than usual people do. And what he does, he all the time repeatedly watch the same shot for a few seconds, and then he is able to remember it. but he need to echo it again and again and 10 times. It's quite interesting. I just wonder whether the technology help us to do similar, or whether it's completely ignored the existence of echo in AI and virtual worlds. What do you think?
A number of years ago, it was quite popular to get a tape recorder that would repeat, for example, the multiplication tables, so that you could sleep and this would repeat it over and over, and your brain would learn it, supposedly. I never tried it myself, but repetition is, for me, is a big help in remembering, for example, people's names. I'm awful with names unless I repeat it or relate it to something else. The the trouble with relating someone's name to something else that will help you remember is that when you say their name, if you come up with the word that it relates to instead of their name, then you'll be in big trouble. But when you mention your Jane's son, my daughter has ADHD supposedly, and I'm reminded what I was told at the time was every child, every person is a genius in some way. And one person's genius is not necessarily anybody else's genius. And if we, you've seen that cartoon about we're going to grade everybody on how well you can climb the tree. Well, the monkey gets first place, the alligator comes in last. Everybody is good at something, and isn't that marvelous? Isn't that marvelous that Michael Rada likes to do some things that Bill McLean doesn't like to do? That's marvelous. So, taking that back to echoing, echoing is. I would hope that there's not a whole lot of echoing, because that means there's not a lot of original, creative thought.
What do you
Did
think?
did I say that right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I think if you think of other words which mean the same, you can say parroting or mimicking, and they're not necessarily that positive. They're,
Yes.
so it
But then,
is negative.
but then, is empathy an example of echoing?
Oh,
I don't think so.
there's something similar in that thought. It's almost as if one heart was echoing another heart. And
Interesting.
when I hear the word empathy, my brain immediately goes back to a day when my grandchildren were maybe 6 and 4, 5 and 3, something like that, just young. And I was reprimanding the older boy. I forget what for. And the younger boy went over and put his arms around his older brother and looked at me defiantly. Defiantly. That's the epitome of empathy, I think.
I mentioned that I cleared the basement yesterday, and I found this. And I was wondering, it's from August 24th, 1994. At the time, I was au pair in UK, so 1994. I forget the year. And in the middle, why I have it here on the picture, it's me. In 1994, with 2 kids I take care of. And there is a story about the East European au pair in a single lady family and so on. So it's quite interesting. But to be honest, echoing in some way, when I take it to this example, it's like time travel. Because it takes some time before the words came back. And it's somehow, for me, it is connected to the time, not only the light, but even the time. And I don't know whether someone worked with this idea before, not sure, and I don't care. But it's quite interesting.
There is an expression about some events which echo through time.
Yes.
That is actually really beautiful. It's really a nice expression.
Just as I explained the difference between Czech language and English language in this term, it is quite interesting that none of you mentioned the meaning of the term, which 100% of people I ask mention in Czech. Because in Czech, echoing someone means you give him a notice or you inform him. Like if you see a criminal, you give echo to the police or so. And not a single person connected it to the way as we describe it. It was very interesting. For the first time, I think in 3 years, something similar happened.
Sorry, help me there. So you're saying that echoing is raising an alarm?
Yes, something like that, you can say.
Okay. Oh, strange.
I don't know why. I just asked yesterday, and all the time the same answer came to me. Because we have different word for what you describe. We call it ozvěna. And ozvěna means like response, special type of response. This is how we call what you describe. I speak and something speak back to me. So we call it ozvěna. Very interesting. I don't know why. But do you think that, for example, in education, the teachers use echo for the students to remember what is happening or to remember the lectures and so on?
Yeah, I think repetition is really important. I don't know if we've discussed this already, that report that came out that children don't learn well on screens.
You mentioned it once here, I think.
Yeah, so it's I think it's you do learn via repetition. That's a mechanic of learning. And so at least if the teacher is saying it, you read it once on a screen and you maybe understand it, but you have to read it 10 times. You don't read it at all. You just look at the words.
Do you think that the echo remains in the space? I mean that it does not disappear. We can hear it, but is it there? I'm asking because if we take the silent corners and so on, there has been a lot of things said, and if we have the technology to get it from the walls, it will be probably very interesting.
I'm not so sure about that. I think going back to what Kevin was saying of something echoing over the years, echoing over time, is a lovely expression, and it's rather like the successful design can often be summarized as the familiarity of the new. When someone sees something new, it's something that they feel familiar with when they see it. Because, a style, a design is echoing over time. And in the design sequence, that could be color, it could be shape, it could be positioning, it could be so many different factors.
So we can say there is a physical echo. We call it the power of touch. I touch it and I have this exactly what you just described, Mark. I have this, wow, I have it. I already saw it. Is it similar to Fata Morgana, do you think? Or to, not Fata Morgana, to, how it's called? I have seen it already. There is an expression for this.
Deja vu.
Deja vu, exactly. Is deja vu eco?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so.
There is a relationship.
There's a familiarity,
Yeah.
a sense of familiarity. Bit of a long shot, but I'm just thinking here that sitting in a museum where there was a model of a typewriter with paper in it, and it was there encouraging particularly younger visitors to the museum to actually try a typewriter. And just watching kids approaching this, they were completely confused. And there were signs around it explaining how to press the keys. What's so odd about this, of course, is that all of them were familiar with keyboards. But the idea of pressing these metal things and then a letter suddenly popping up and hitting something and making a noise when it actually typed, it's extraordinary.
I have seen the old typewriter, but there was something like a tablet, and it really moves. It really moves. Then you have to do this ring song to come back. It was great. It was great.
Yeah, yes.
Actually, guys, maybe we're discussing resonance rather than echo. Because
Spot on.
yeah, because if you look at a keyboard, it does resonate no matter if it's mechanical or electronic. And a lot of things we've been talking about, like deja vu, there's a resonance between, it resonates on our feelings. Have I seen this before?
That's a good point.
So an echo must be a form of resonance, don't you think?
Oh,
And resonance is really powerful.
Clearing up the basement, I came along with this little guy. Born in 2000, one of the first PDAs. So computers, there was no communication model, but it was Windows. There was Windows in. It was for 25 years in a box. I take it out, and when on charger, the Windows CE, how it was called, came up. It was unbelievable. So the battery is dead, but when it's in the charger, and today in the morning, I loaded a truck, and there was a driver, and because it's quite complicated to load, so he has to do, I will call it the Tetris way. So who is good in Tetris can be good in this loading style. And I asked him, did you play Tetris? And he said, no, my dad did. And I asked him how old he is. He was born in 2000, exactly like this machine. And it was really crazy to talk and explain to him, because everyone knows touch screen today. But at these days, it was very unusual. Of course, the stylus was there and you can use it. It was so interesting to have such a discussion, and quite interesting that he cannot have the memories because he was not at the time working here with us. But somehow I feel that it resonates with him like an echo. It came from very old times, and somehow he feels connected to it. It was very interesting. But I think it is what you just described, Kevin.
Michael, if you leave that plugged in, as soon as it's working, you'll get a notification from Windows that you have to update.
It's quite, first of all, I was not expecting that it goes on. The backlight is back, but you can see the screen. The second, it behaves exactly as I do remember. You have to calibrate the screen, then there is the calendar. It will probably work. And the interesting part, because Windows, Microsoft stopped supporting, it will not ask for update, because this Windows CE does not exist anymore officially.
I got a new computer 2 weeks ago, and I deliberately have no Microsoft products on it, but I still get this notification that your Office package needs updating. I don't have an Office package. I deliberately didn't have it. Somehow they tracked me down anyway.
Good choice.
I love the word resonance. I agree that that's close to what we're talking about with echo. But I think that resonance is much broader than echo, and it gets into um, things, I hate that word, but things that are not audible. For example, there's been a lot of articles recently about how trees talk to each other, with chemical, with vibration, with a number of different ways. And so trees can resonate with each other, I think. And share feelings. Certainly, we've seen animals sharing feelings. I was watching one last night about a man and an octopus who were talking to each other and getting to know each other. So that is a resonance, and I felt a resonance watching that on TV. So if we expand the definition to mean resonance, then I think that includes a lot of things besides the audible.
Yeah, because even memory, a lot of memory must be resonance as well. You suddenly, especially with smell, something resonates and triggers our memory. I think it's
Yeah, yeah. I like that example because I dated a girl in high school, which is a lot of years ago. She had a particular perfume that was just very unique. And doggone it, if a couple of years ago I wasn't walking down the street and I passed somebody who was wearing the same perfume, boom, like a tidal wave, it came back after all those years.
yeah.
So the word resonance is a good word.
And we did not, you touched it, Bill, before, but what is the opposite of echo? I don't think it is silence.
That would be my first. That would be my first go-to, but I agree with you. I don't think that's it. So there is electronics test people will often test their new radio or new whatever in something called an anechoic chamber. And that is foam dipped in carbon, and it absorbs. It absorbs RF waves. It absorbs any sound. And if you walk into an anechoic chamber, your body really reacts because they're getting no echo. They're getting no feedback from the walls or from you don't know which side is up. So the opposite of echo might be, I'd have to look up the word anechoic, see exactly what that means, but something like that where you're getting no feedback.
Yeah, because also if you think about it, an echo is like throwing a ball against the wall.
Yeah.
If you take the wall away, it's not an opposite. It's just a different state.
Yeah.
I think it's not the first word where we generally cannot find out the opposite. Do all words need to have an opposite?
One thing that these talks has taught me is that if you look deep enough, you can explain almost anything. So I would be hesitant to agree with you on that until we did a lot more digging.
And just to tell you, we have 4 minutes left.
Well, we're not going to do much digging then, are we?
But there are some words where it would be extremely nice if it didn't have an opposite.
Like love?
Yes, yeah, that would be a nice one. Yeah, and truth.
Yeah. Before we get to the end, what did the lunchtime crowd come up with? Anything that we've missed?
Not really. There was quite a lot said about the education, a lot said about the connection. So how the echo, so as the sound and the waves and everything can connect bigger quantity of people. In songs, there are frequently used to repeat. So and an echo is used as well. This was the main direction of the noon discussion.
Very good.
It's quite interesting to watch how a simple term can really let us think so deep.
This is interesting. With an actual echo, there is no thought behind it at all. It is just a mimic.
On the other hand, I think you can use it to deliver the right message. I think there was a way of communication in the mountains, how they use the echo. They use a very special way to not to call, to
yodel.
To yodel, for example, or to whisper, not a whisper, to whistle. I think in Spain there exists even a whistle language, using the echo plus the waves to transfer the messages. Quite interesting. We don't use it anymore, except of the sirens, which was quite interesting information for me, to be honest. We have 1.5 minutes left.
One thing I was thinking, when you were explaining how Czechs write echo, it's the same in Russian. They also have this one EH, so it is echo. But I guess because it's a name, it must be the same word in every language. Although the phenomenon must have existed before the Greek stories. I wonder if there is any other words for echo apart from echo.
In Czech, for sure, we have quite a lot. One is this ozvěna. The others, I don't know. I just think about German, and I don't know. But we have 1 minute left, so I would like to thank you for great discussion again. Have a nice time, free of waste and wasting in all its forms. Stay safe, be free, be human. And let's echo the wisdom to everyone who will listen. See you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.